their windshield wipers. Only when Mary Anderson became annoyed that New York trolley drivers were stopping to wipe their windshield by hand did anybody do something about it. By attaching a spring-loaded arm to a rubber blade, one woman made travel easier and safer. Look to innovate and pass it on. From passiton.com.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410. Elgin time, 12 o'clock.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. Major League Baseball, the Cubs defeated the Colorado Rockies 9-3 at Coors Field on Thursday, avoiding the three-game sweep. Seiya Suzuki hit a grand slam. Alex Bregman and Carson Kelly also homered for the Cubs. Edward Cabrera got the win, allowed 2 runs over 5 1/3. He improves to 4-3. Chicago and San Francisco tonight to take on the Giants. The White Sox had their game with the Atlanta Braves postponed due to rain. They will make that up on August 20th. The White Sox hosting the Dodgers tonight to begin a 3-game series, and Chicago has won 9 of their last 13. The NBA Finals continuing on Saturday. San Antonio hosting the New York Knicks in Game 5. The Knicks are up 3-1 and a win away from their first championship in 53 years. They're coming off a Game 4 win Wednesday, overcoming a 29-point deficit. The Sports Update brought to you by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
I'm Chris Campbell on WRMN, the talk of the town.
Hi, it's Zoe, personal stylist at Macy's. If you're like, what am I wearing on this trip? To this wedding? To brunch? Your timing's perfect. Our best brands are all 30% off. I'll pull some great pieces that are made for you, so you'll show up confident, looking amazing. Plus, 15 off designer beauty and fragrance. Sign up for Star Rewards and earn even faster at Macy's Friends and Family. Going on now. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. Major League Baseball, the Cubs defeated the Colorado Rockies 9-3 at Coors Field on Thursday, avoiding the 3-game sweep. Seiya Suzuki hit a grand slam. Alex Bregman and Carson Kelly also homered for the Cubs. Edward Cabrera got the win, allowed 2 runs over 5 1/3. He improves to 4-3. Chicago and San Francisco tonight to take on the Giants. The White Sox had their game with the Atlanta Braves postponed due to rain. They will make that up on August 20th. The White Sox hosting the Dodgers tonight to begin a 3-game series, and Chicago has won 9 of their last 13. The NBA Finals continuing on Saturday. San Antonio hosting the New York Knicks in Game 5. The Knicks are up 3-1 and a win away from their first championship in 53 years. They're coming off a Game 4 win Wednesday, overcoming a 29-point deficit. The Sports Update brought to you by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
I'm Chris Campbell on WRMN, the talk of the town.
Hi, it's Zoe, personal stylist at Macy's. If you're like, what am I wearing on this trip? To this wedding? To brunch? Your timing's perfect. Our best brands are all 30% off. I'll pull some great pieces that are made for you, so you'll show up confident, looking amazing. Plus, 15 off designer beauty and fragrance. Sign up for Star Rewards and earn even faster at Macy's Friends and Family. Going on now. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by Primatene Mist. This afternoon, partly sunny with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, high near 87. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, low around 59. Looking ahead to Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 70. Currently, it's 77 and clear. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Hi, it's Zoe, personal stylist at Macy's. If you're like, what am I wearing on this trip? To this wedding? To brunch? Your timing's perfect. Our best brands are all 30% off. I'll pull some great pieces that are made for you, so you'll show up confident, looking amazing. Plus, 15 off designer beauty and fragrance. Sign up for Star Rewards and earn even faster at Macy's Friends and Family. Going on now. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Clutter happens, but junk doesn't have to weigh you down. At the Junk Luggers, we're your full-service junk removal and hauling pros, tackling everything from single-item pickups to major cleanouts. We handle the heavy lifting, and with our commitment to the green way, we rehome and recycle to keep your unwanted items out of landfills. So, whether you're clearing out the garage, downsizing, or saying goodbye to old furniture, we make the process eco-friendly and easy. Call 1-800-LUG-JUNK or visit junkluggers.com today. Let's save your space and the planet together.
Fix Bayonets, comrades, this is Chief Gardner Republic Radio Show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvid every Saturday noon until 2 on WRMN, 1410 AM. I had a lady at the coffee shop goes, AM, 1410 AM, but that's in the afternoon. I go, no, AM on the radio dial. She goes, people still have AM radios? I'm like, and she's older than me. I'm like, okay, conversation over. I'll go ahead, drink my coffee, and eat my sandwich now. But so 1410 a.m. Also, WRMN, 1410.com. Go there. You could listen live, or you could hit listen on YouTube. Boom, and YouTube comes up and takes you to WRMN, 1410 a.m.'s YouTube channel, where you could watch us live, like I'm watching myself now, and you can make comments. You could also call us in on 847-931-1410 or 505-926-1410. You could do the text if you don't like talking on the phone. So, Paul, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
Doing okay. I think Flag Day is coming up tomorrow. So I said we should do something on the flags. And
we should.
It should be pretty non-controversial, you would think, right?
You hope.
You hope. I mean, if you're in the United States, the United States flag, I mean, what has the flag ever gotten up and jumped off the flagpole and slaughtered hundreds of people?
Never.
Has that flag ever oppressed you in any way? Like,
never.
Yeah, not me. And I think people get spun up over it. But God bless the American flag, you know. And so, every country's got its own flag, right? And our flag, the current design we have, because you'll go in the early Revolutionary War and there's multiple designs out there, but the Second Continental Congress, I didn't realize the first and the second, passed an act for the flags, and that was actually on June 14th, which is tomorrow, but 1777. So next year will be the 250th anniversary of Old Glory, the Betsy Ross flag, the United States flag, as we kind of know it now. The Stars and Stripes. What other names do you have for the flag, Paul? The U.S. flag.
Old Glory, the national standard, the blue and the red, white, and blue.
What does Marla say?
No.
And the Stars and Stripes, everything. And
6727.
Yeah. So
hold on a second. Go ahead.
Something about having a sense of pride, a sense of unity under the flag. So like where all the stars are on the blue background, all right, that part of the flag is actually called the Union, all right? And that is where all the stars there from all the states, they're all there together as a union combined, right? In one thing. And when you're fighting an enemy or in, what do you call it? Let's just say fighting an enemy and everything. You kind of need something to rally around, to fall under, where everyone says we're all different people, but we all fall under this standard, right? Our standard, that we could all agree that this is our standard. Now, you can protect a piece of property, but you're protecting the idea of it, right? Like I said, it's just fabric on a pole, right? But it matters a lot because the ideal that's behind it and all the ideal that the people see. So the first battle flag, when I did some research on this, right, was the siege of Fort Schuyler or Stanwix, right? And dudes are under siege from the British and their Indian allies, their Native American allies at the time, right? So, and they get some reinforcements come in and they say, hey, the Continental Congress passed this act. And now we're going to have a national standard. Everyone's going to have the same thing. It won't be separate militias or anything. We'll have one national standard. And it's the Blue Union with the 13 stars for the states and 13 red and white stripes alternating in horizontal, right? And so these guys, they don't have one. It's not like as soon as the design was approved by Congress, that they went out and found hundreds of Betsy Rosses to sit there in a quilting thing and put hundreds of these together to deliver them to the regiments of the Continental Army and the regiments of the militias, right? So these guys wanting to have that one standard, they made one out of whatever scraps of fabric they could find around. And so they took the blue officer's coat, for which was funny, the guy was reimbursed for his officer's coat. They took his officer's coat and they cut out the Union. And then they took white sheets to get the white. And then there were women at the fort at the time, and they had dresses and stuff. And they took the red from the dresses to make the stripes. So that's like the first battle flag is handmade. And that's like everyone pitched in on this fort. Everyone pitched in to get that made, and they said that's our standard. Now that's pride. That's something to say, right? That's something to say about a national standard you could stand behind. And these people just knowing that they had something, but not having it yet, couldn't even wait for Amazon to deliver it overnight, right? Because there was no Amazon back then, right? They made it themselves out of whatever fabric they had.
That's awesome. The Continental Congress on December 3rd of 1775, because we had the Army by then, we had the Navy by then. Yeah,
that's the first Continental Congress.
Yeah, they came up with the Continental flag, okay? And then you're right, the 13 stars and stripes came up with the June 14th of 1777, which was 248 years ago.
246 years ago, 249 years ago tomorrow.
It will be, right.
Yeah. And, so,
but the flag is important because the 13 alternating red and white stripes represent the 13 colonies, and then the blue, which you're correct, every time we get a new state, gets a different star, and they're 5-pointed stars, by the way. There were 13 of them, and they're Betsy Ross's family attributes it to her because some writings, but there's that is a little bit in dispute. But the circular 13 stars and stripes, which we call the Betsy Ross flag, that was the one of the first ones adopted. But did you know that there's been 27 specific flag changes since 1777?
Yes, there's been quite a few until we had, and the changes, I think it was 18. Did I get it? Did I write any of this down? This Betsy Ross flag. Well, like we started adding more states, right? So you had like the 1780 something. There was an act there about I don't know if it was the arrangement of the stars, but originally Betsy Ross flag. Some other dude supposedly designed it after they, and then Congress approves the design, right? And he's
the first flag had the 13 stripes.
Yeah,
but it had a field that had it was like a cross with an X.
Yes,
and that was the first one until Betsy Ross from 1775. Well, that came in 1777. So the Betsy Ross flag came in 1777. The first flag looked very similar to a British flag, and it was like the Union, like you were mentioning.
They called it a Union Jack,
right? But we called it the Union, and then there were the longest period of time that we had a flag was the 48 star flag, which went for 47 years.
All right, so here's when they first put out that act, all right, they didn't specify the organization of the stars in the Union. So there were multiple flags made with different, we could say the X thing for 13 across, right? And then, then there was Betsy Ross that put them in the circle. And then there was other arrangements where you could have 13 across, 4, 4, and 5 in the middle or whatever. So you could arrange them however you wanted. It was later on when they changed that and said that the stars would go in rows, right? And they would be like evenly dispersed according to the rows. And of course, if you got 48 stars, what do you got? 6 by 8, right? Because that's 48 right there.
Right.
And now we have like some rows have 7 and some rows have 6. And it adds up to 50 somehow, right? So I don't have the exact arrangement. But yeah, and then I looked up something else about why is it red, white, and blue? And the simplest thing came up. And it was like I said, and normally you look at the simplest thing, right? And it usually makes the most sense. You know what that was, Paul?
No.
The textile dyes available at the time.
Oh.
So the best ones that lasted the longest, right, is why pea coats in the Navy were originally super dark blue. They weren't black, right? Because blue was an established dye that would stand up to sunlight, to stand up to the weather. Same thing with red. Red was a very established dye that would stand up to sunlight and the weather. And of course, for white, all you got to do is bleach out the fabric, and you have red, white, and blue there. So that's the simplest explanation of why red, white, and blue were so popular on these flags. It's like, and then I went back to all the countries' flags that were red, white, and blue. And of course, the famous one, the French tricolor, But so Belgium had a flag that was red, white, and blue, and Peter the Great really liked that flag, right? The red, white, and blue. So he brought it over to Russia at the time, which had most of Eastern Europe, right? And allies in the Balkans. And he adopted that red, white, and blue. And then there was like a pan-Slavic revolution, they call it, on flags. So you have the Czech Republic, red, white, and blue, you know. Poland's just red and white. That's been historical red and white. But a lot of the other Slavic countries took up red, white, and blue. Slovakia, Czech Republic, you know. But there's so many countries with that red, white, and blue. But then with the United States, and people started defining, well, people wanted to know, is there a meaning to the color? Yeah, red doesn't wash out, blue doesn't wash out, and white's completely washed out, so it doesn't wash out either, right? That wasn't enough. You know, you got to make it, you got to have some romanticism in there, right? So I don't have it written down, and I don't have it committed to memory. I should. But I know you do, Paul. Do you know the significance of the colors?
No. I know blue has something to do with the sky, and I know that red has to do with the battle to free the country.
Yeah, the blood of patriots.
I don't know what the white
White's
is.
purity.
I thought so. All right.
You know, purity. So hold on. I'm going to disappear off camera for a second here. I got to reach my map case. I got this map case here when I was in Ukraine training in Peace Shield 2003. And there was this one Uzbeki officer, and they had all of us officers. You know, they allowed me as a warrant officer to be there too, right? And they had us all sleeping in this one area, you know, and this Uzbeki lieutenant, biggest Uzbek I ever saw. And he was loud. He was very loud snoring. You know, I'm like, oh my God. But I was wearing an old pistol belt, right? And he really liked that old pistol belt. And of course, it's probably not in here. I probably took it out of here. Oh, I'll get it on break. I know where it is. Unless I didn't put it in there at all. Anyway, which is typical me. But he really admired my pistol belt and everything because I had the old 45 holster and I had a very cheap K-bar on there. Well, it was a K-bar, but believe it or not, it only cost me $8. And, you know, you go buy it anywhere else, it's like $75. And it was a Camillus, too. Not a cheap one, right? A regular one. But the wholesale places that sold to the surplus stores and everyone else, you buy it $8 a piece wholesale. So look at the massive markup they had on those knives, you know? And so I give him the whole pistol belt, you know, my holster on it and my knife on there and everything, because I go get another one, you know? He was so happy. He gave me his broken-in, old Soviet-style map case.
Nice.
So, yeah. So here I am, making friends. You know? I kicked him
one pistol belt at a time.
Yeah. He was sleeping. His feet were hanging off the cot. Well, you know, because the cots are only like 6 feet long, right? And his feet are hanging off, and this is midday, and he is snoring up a storm. And I go up and I kick him in the foot to wake him up, and he snapped up to attention, you know, like a good beaten soldier would, you know, that's been oppressed, you know, snapped it like he had just finished basic training with the Legion, man. I was impressed. I was totally impressed. But okay, so the significance of a flag, having the flag, having it all there for cohesion of the Union, right? If you had all of our states and all of our militia saying, oh, we only fly our state flag and our militia flag we're in the militia, and there's no cohesiveness, right? And then you give them the overall national flag to fly with them, and now you got a cohesiveness between, you know, Alabama and between New York, right? Boom. I don't know. Is Alabama one of the original 13? Who knows? I don't know. I should have that memorized, right? It's one of those penguins that fell off my iceberg, the original 13 colonies. It brings them all together. That was the point. You know, if the 13 colonies had been separated, you know, had been fighting as individuals, then the British would have taken them out one at a time and brought them back into the British fold.
Alabama is not.
It is not. Oh. All right, well, the South Carolina, I know South Carolina is. South Carolina and, you know, Vermont. Okay. At least they're flying the same flag. Could be very different temperaments. So, yeah, one of the things.
Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and South Carolina.
Is that in order as they signed the Declaration of Independence?
That's what it's giving me. I think it's in order by alphabetical.
Well, Virginia would have been the last. Or West. No, there was no West Virginia back then. West Virginia didn't come about until 1861 when they decided they weren't going to leave the Union. I got to look up how that actually happened. You know, so there's other things I've learned about the flag. So, like I said, one of this radio shows is I do a little bit of prep, and I'm like, do a little deep dive, and all of a sudden I become a quasi-expert in the subject. But the main thing at the beginning of this, our first quarter of our show, is that flags.
You know, you bring something up, though, and I've said this before, and, you know, I'm really sad. I'm really sad about this. You know, I remember because, you know, my birthday's the 4th of July, and I really got into the bicentennial, okay? And I remember Tom Snyder, that's the first time I ever stayed up all night. They stayed up all night to show to the morning to have, you know, the 4th of July. You know, I stayed up all night. And, you know, as I said, since 1973 until 1976, there was the bicentennial minute, okay? Every day there was a new form of history that was given out. And then Lionel had the bicentennial train with the cars and everything. And that was so cool. And it was just so important. And, you know, you could go to the grocery store, and I have them somewhere. I was looking for them, and I can't find them. There were little, you know, like you put a quarter in, and they had those little capsules. Well, inside were flags, and it was all the 13 colonies, you know, like live free or die, with the snake, with the tree. And, you know, and you're right. There is an element to having one union flag, but there's also an element to having the individual state flags.
Yes.
Because we are states.
We're a republic.
That's correct. And, you know, we don't have that. We didn't have that this year. Now, this year, and I went out and bought them, there was, because you know what I did? I used to hang a banner in front of my doorway, but I don't do that anymore. I went to Meijer and I bought a special thing that goes onto your mailbox because I live in the suburbs. We have these rural mailboxes, and it's adhesive. And I put a flag out today because I knew we were doing the show, and I wanted to get me in the spirit. It goes either straight up or on an angle. So I put the American flag out there. So this year for the 250th, they have, and these are official flags because the military has them at events too. There's the 13 stars and stripes with 17, you know, whatever, 77 to 17 to, you know, 2026. The Betsy Ross flag, and then there's one that says America 250.
All right. So we'll be back for the second quarter of the Chief Guard of the Republic show.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Chicago Cubs were winners yesterday in Colorado as the Cubs beat the Rockies 9-3. The two teams combined for 22 hits in the ballgame. Cubs back in action tonight in San Francisco against the Giants. The White Sox game against the Braves was postponed yesterday. The White Sox will host the Dodgers tonight. Carolina Hurricanes are a win away from the Stanley Cup. They beat the Golden Knights last night 4-2. Game number 6 is Sunday in Las Vegas. NBA Finals heads to game number 5 tomorrow night in San Antonio as the Spurs host the Knicks. The New York Knicks lead that series 3-1. Team USA men's soccer team gets the World Cup underway tonight. They'll take on Paraguay at SoFi Stadium.
The sports update brought to you by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive.
I'm Chris Campbell on WRMN, the talk of the town.
This report is sponsored by IBM. As the pace of AI accelerates, CEOs are rethinking how their leadership teams operate, how decisions are made, and how organizations are structured. IBM's annual CEO study shows that adopting new tools is no longer enough. Leaders are actively redesigning decision-making structures, clarifying accountability, and reshaping the C-suite to drive greater business impact. The study found that 76% of organizations now have a chief AI officer, up from 26% a year ago, and nearly 2/3 of CEOs say they are comfortable using AI to help inform major strategic decisions. The study also showed that organizations with an AI-first leadership approach are scaling more AI initiatives than their peers. The message is clear. Success with AI depends not just on technology, but on leadership, governance, and organizations built to adapt. To learn more, visit ibm.com/IBV.
At Britain's Touchless Car Wash, they know life gets busy. That's why they're here 24/7 to keep your car looking spotless, fast, and easy. Their advanced brush-free wash technology delivers a sparkling clean without a single scratch, because they treat your car like it's their own. Here's the best part. Right now, you can get a free car wash just for joining their text club. It's simple. Just text BRITT to 30400, and your first wash is on them. Britain's Touchless Car Wash has 2 convenient locations, 1923 Larkin Avenue in Elgin and 555 Willow in West Dundee. They're proud to keep your car clean while giving back to our community. Text BRITT to 30400. That's BRITT to 30400. Now for your free car wash, and see why Britain's Touchless Car Wash is the fast, gentle, and reliable choice.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. This afternoon, partly sunny with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, high near 87. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, low around 59. Looking ahead to Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 70. Currently, it's 78 and clear. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
The burrito is fire.
Hi, this is Maya.
And I'm Antonio. And the little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A hash brown scrambled burrito
is that it fuels our morning.
It's the full package.
You have the chicken, you have the eggs, and then you add these hash browns for a nice little crunch.
The chicken's always nice. It's crispy, it's juicy. And the cheeses, they melt together in a beautiful way.
And it gives me energy. It's perfect.
Order the Chick-fil-A hash brown scrambled burrito and Simply Orange Juice on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Fixed Bayonets, comrades, this Chief Guard of Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tuman and Paul Burvid every Saturday noon until 2 on WRMN 1410 AM. As you know, because you're here on the AM radio dial, and you're in Elgin, and you're cruising around in your old car, and you got the AM, and you push the button because it's locked right in there to 1410. You can catch us on WRMN1410.com. Hit the listen live button. You could listen live or do it on YouTube. The call-in number here is 847-931-1410, and text is 505-926-1410. And as always, you can make comments on our YouTube channel there. Let's see, we've got a picture, too. Yeah. Tom Snyder narrated the Lionel video. Yeah, Paul. So up there, we got the picture.
That was Cleveland Dennis.
Yeah, Cleveland Dennis, erected by my son Dennis 4 weeks ago, 25-footer. Yeah, nice. That's a nice flagpole. And it might not be much, but, you can get the flagpoles that sit in the side of your house, right? And one of the troubles with that is it starts smacking on things and getting caught on things, and the flag rips. I, in my very górali, which is Polish for hillbilly style, I got a 16-foot piece of PVC, pretty solid PVC, and I bolted it to the rails on my front porch. And all I got to do is unbolt it, bring the PVC down, and take the pole out for the flag, and then reattach a new flag and put the pole back in and put the PVC back up. And I got basically a 20-foot flagpole. And,
nice.
The PVC is stood up. It is stood up. And what happens if the PVC breaks? I buy another one. I should really spray paint it silver. Give it a silver spray paint.
Polyvinyl chloride all the way.
Yep. And I found my book that I was looking for here, and it's Know Your America. And this was published by the American Legion, 1985. So, this is with all of our American Legion stuff. I went through it and I found this book. And the great thing is like since 1985, the flag rules haven't changed. We haven't had any states in there. And it's got a lot of good information, specifically on the flag, right? And hey, Paul, do you think it's offensive to have people say the Pledge of Allegiance?
No.
I don't think it is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. You're a U.S. citizen.
The republic for which it stands.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all, yeah.
Some people would argue to the under God. Well, if you don't believe in God and God doesn't exist to you, then how can he offend you?
You just be quiet during that part of it.
You could be quiet, yeah. But so we said the Pledge of Allegiance every day in grammar school. I don't even know if they do that anymore. I know they do it at Schiller Park's public schools because I've been there when they've had the kids come down and do it, which, as a Legion member visiting the school there.
A lot of meetings I used to go to would start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And a lot of Toastmaster meetings would start with the Pledge of Allegiance and stuff like that. I mean, that's just a common courtesy to the nation in which you live,
Yeah. And we start all of our Legion things. We even, the informal, here's a plug, the informal Dunkin' Donuts veterans, which currently is meeting at the Bunker Hill Woods near Niles off Caldwell, all right, and or Harms Road. They meet every Tuesday. The meeting starts at 9. You get there earlier. It's what do they call it? Number 5. It's Grove number 5. Yeah, Grove number 5 at the Bunker Hill Woods. They start at 9 o'clock with the Pledge of Allegiance. But you get there earlier. If you want to sit at one of the picnic tables, you better get there earlier. If not, bring your own chair, all right? And any veteran can attend, like anyone can attend. It's the most open meeting ever, right? And they give out good veterans information. And if you ask Roger or Carlos, you want to talk to the veterans, you ask them, they decide whether you can or not. And it's usually, yeah, sure, if you got good information for the veterans. So even they're totally informal. They're not a 501c3. They don't have a constitution. They don't have a charter. It's just an agreed. Everyone just shows up for the meeting, and they start with the Pledge of Allegiance because we're all veterans, all right? And you really haven't felt it, right, until you get up at 5 in the morning. You got to get up earlier because you got to be there at 5, right? You get up at 4:30 and you got to shave, And then you got to get in your best uniform. You got to get down there to do flag detail. So you're the guys that raise the flag in the morning and take it down in the afternoon. And, I was the sergeant in charge of that for a month, and that was the big flag. Not the big flag, which is the garrison flag. And then sizes of the flags, right? There is a specific, what do you call a ratio of length to width?
10 to 19.
10 to 19. So that's when you see some of these sizes, they're kind of weird, 7 and 16 inches, because they're getting very specific in the 10 to 19 because it's a law. Right? But that doesn't hold true for every flag out there. It doesn't, which is 10 to 19 is for your common flag, right? And the largest one for the military, I know that like at football fields and sporting events and real big events, and sometimes you'll see them hung by a bridge between two cranes and everything. They're really giant flags. But this one is 20 feet by 38 feet. So it's 38 feet wide. That's 2 car lengths. That's the garrison flag. And that takes like 16 people to put it up and take it down. And what you have to do is you have to hook up the grommet and everything. You hook it up, and then you got to slowly pull this thing up until you get the other grommet to hook up. And then you can bring the flag all the way up. So then the next one is the post flag. That's the one we usually brought up. And it was 8 feet, 11 3/8 inches, which is almost 9 feet by close to 17 feet. So 8 to 17 feet. And we only had 8 people to do that, plus the sergeant in charge, So I'm giving the orders, stretch, fold, stretch, fold, stretch, fold, and then boom, boom, boom. I'd go and put it into the triangle, and then we bring it back up and put it away for the night. That's when after we took it down. Then there's the storm flag, and that's about 5 feet by 9.5 feet. And that's the one, there's the one that the VA uses, right? There's the one that's draped over the coffin, all right? And you're thinking of that, the storm flag, and it's usually all cotton, right? And it's draped over the coffin of our fallen soldiers, our fallen first responders, all right? It's the storm flag. But then the standard residential flag is just a 3x5. Right? So what you're going to find at Walmart, what you're going to find at Walgreens for sale, what you're going to find at Menards, where you get all these plugs, right? Lowe's, the Home Depot, all those things are selling now for the big 4th of July celebration this year. And they're selling basically 3x5s. They're not selling the storm flag. They're selling the standard residential 3x5. But there's another size flag because of the military. And you have a battalion organizational flag. So they call it the battalion colors or the regimental colors. Right? You always say with the colors, and you see the thing in Gettysburg, and it's the colors of the 2nd Corps. It's the regimental colors of this. They identify them by their colors, right? Well, that's a 3 foot by 4 foot flag. And when you're doing a parade or a ceremony with the military and you got the regimental colors with you, the national colors are the same size, 3 foot by 4 foot. They match the size of the flag. And I was wondering about this. Like I said, I'm learning, right? So I'm like, why do we have 2 different American flags at our Legion post? Right? Because you have one for indoors, which is your standard flag, right? And then you have one that matches the size of your regimental colors or your Legion post colors. They're supposed to be the same size. But there's even a difference on that one. Paul, when it comes to regimental colors, all the regimental colors are supposed to be 3 foot by 4 foot. So when you go on parade, you're going to have your national colors 3 foot by 4 foot, right? But the Cadet Corps at West Point has 4 1/4 inches, 4 feet 1/4 inches by 5 foot 6 inches. So their regimented colors are slightly bigger. So their national colors, when they're doing a parade, are also going to be 4 1/4 by 5 foot 6 to match. All right. So that, and then we get down to another official military size for the flag, and it's called an ensign. So everyone thinks an ensign, right? Ensign Bueller, ensign whatever, Miller, ensign whatever, is a second lieutenant in the Navy. Well, it's the first officer rank, the first commissioned officer rank, or what we call real live officer rank in the Navy, is an ensign. All right. So in the Army and the Marine Corps, they call those second lieutenants, along with the Air Force. All right. I believe also in Space Force, they're second lieutenants. You know, the most junior officer, usually a platoon leader, right? He's got a sergeant directing him. But an ensign is what they fly on any U.S. vessel, any U.S. water vessel. And the reason this comes up in the Army regulations, you'd think it would be a Navy regulation, but the Army has more boats than the Navy. And we're not talking the big, like, aircraft carriers and everything. We're talking about maybe river boats, river ships, you know, whale boats, little tugboats, you know, landing craft. So you have the ensign, which is 2 feet 4 7/16 inches by 4 foot 6 inches. And we're saying, it's the old 10 by 19 thing, right? And then you have the Union Jack.
You know what I like? You know what I like? I like the flags with the gold fringe. The ceremonial flags.
Yeah, those were there was a change in authorized, and that's in the Army regulation, and you want to look it up. It's Army Regulation 840-10. The Army has a regulation for everything. Everything. It's the biggest, like, it's the biggest computer program in the world. Because if you think of a computer program, right? It's a set of algorithms, you know? If this, then that, right? If this happens, do this. Well, the Army, over the course of the 250 years, going to be 251 years tomorrow, birthday of the Army, all right? So last year was its 250th birthday. Tomorrow is going to be the 251st birthday of the Army, all right? But the only the 249th birthday of the American flag, right? So oh man, I talked myself out of my, I forgot again. Let me get back here. So I was talking about the birthday of the Army.
Right.
And you had said
I like the fringe. Not
fringe.
The stream,
yeah. All right.
So the gold fringe that goes around it, which is permitted. It's permitted for indoor displays and parade use and ceremonies.
Yes. So you wouldn't fly it. You wouldn't fly that above your house.
How?
You wouldn't fly it on your base, right? On your base, right? So you have a small base there, like a Army Reserve Center, right? Small Army Reserve Center. So you're going to fly a flag, and you can't find the flag, so you go get one of the ceremonial flags and throw it up there on the flagpole. No, wrong. You don't do that, right? What you do is you go to the post office and you steal their flag, and then you fly it. If you lose your own Army flag, because I don't know how you would lose that, but I have seen them lose things, like amazing things. Like, how did you lose that? But they lost it. All right, so like I said, the Army is the biggest computer program in the world, and they've been writing it for 251 years come tomorrow, all right? So anything you want to do in the Army, it is specifically written out. And if for some reason they find that they haven't covered everything in that, then there is a whole process for changing that And I've been through the process for changing Army regulations, and I'm like, whoa, it's got to really go up to like a 4-star level. They staff it between all these officers. Every single section in the Army has their say in this little thing to make the little change. And then it gets changed. Sometimes it takes a long time to make these changes. Like in the regulations where it said I needed to send my appeal for my officer evaluation report, I needed to send it down to, where was it? It was our percent in, at Fort Knox. There was a specific address to send it to, and it's right in the regulation. The current regulation, right? Without any changes, because they'll publish changes to these things. And that was the address. And I spent like $20 sending this thing, returned receipt, because I wanted to make sure they got it. And they send it back, address doesn't exist. And I'm like, it's right in the regulation. And then I had to look it up and find that they moved the address, but no one had changed it. So even then they must, yeah. But hopefully they staffed that and got that changed. All right, so the Union Jack, like I'm saying, that's just the blue part of the flag with the stars. And the official one, so when you take your ship into harbor and you dock your ship, or you have it at anchor in the harbor, then you fly the Union Jack, all right? That's the 2-foot by 2-foot. I did look up, naval battle flag, because I still like that line from Sea Chase, right? At the end, where he flies the Imperial battle flag. And the British officers are looking at it as like, that's the Imperial battle flag on a merchant ship. So apparently we don't have an Imperial battle flag because we're not Imperial. So our battle flag is just Old Glory. Right? So,
which should be enough.
It is enough. It is enough. I mean, again, that's what you're fighting under. You're not fighting under. You're fighting under the Navy, right? You can throw the Navy flag out there, but guess what? Guess what goes above the Navy flag?
The American flag.
Guess what goes up first?
The American flag.
The American flag. Guess what comes down last?
The American
flag.
The
American flag. That's right. So, and it all brings it together, even with the Army flag. You got the Army and the Navy and the Joint Forces together. There's a specific order for the Joint Forces flags. And commander of our post, Schiller Park Post 104, American Legion Post 104, we had Schiller Park put up all these flagpoles in their clock tower park, and for the military, you see it in a lot of villages that they have their small military memorial area, right? Mm-hmm. And then they have all the service flags flying there. And so Bob noticed that they were out of order. So we had the American flag, the U.S. Army flag, the U.S. Navy flag, the Marine flag, the Coast Guard flag, the Air Force flag, and then we had the Space Force flag. They put up a pole for the Space Force. I think one of our guys actually paid for that out of his own pocket to have the flag put up for the Space Force.
Nice.
Russ had that, right? And Bob says, nice. No, the Marines go before the Navy. I go, what do you mean? The Marines are part of the Navy. The Navy is not part of the Marines, right? And he goes, no. And I looked it up, and for a short time, the U.S. Navy didn't exist. We had no funded U.S. Navy, but the Marine Corps continued to exist without break. So the Marines are technically older because, that time that the Navy exists is counted as bad time towards pension. Didn't exist. So the Marines have more seniority. So the Marine flag went first. So there's an order. There's a pecking order on those too, right? So, and while in the United States, no flag, no flag is flown above the American flag. None. Zero. And I looked it up again because I believe that during church services, right, the chaplain's flag can fly above the American flag, but that's only on Navy vessels. It's only on Navy vessels that happens. So they fly the chaplain's flag to let everyone on the vessel know that its church services are in process. All right, so and I think that's a good reason. Even, what about the United Nations? Nope. We, even though, United Nations are here, they're on U.S. property. While they're on U.S. property, the American flag will fly higher than the United Nations. Now we go overseas into a foreign country, who's to know? It all goes to protocol now. But on our U.S. bases, which are technically sovereign U.S. territory, right, that American flag is going to fly higher than the rest. How, I got to look this up. If anyone knows, please call in. But we were in Ghazni, and I'm wondering, I don't have a very good recollection, because it was all like a drunken blur when I was there, is like, it was a joint base. It was commanded by a Polish officer with a deputy commander who was an American officer. But of course, the United States provided a lot of the logistics and everything on that post. So whose flag is going to fly higher in Ghazni? The Polish flag or the American flag? And then there's a version, if they're flying at the same height, who's to the right and who's to the left? That's it all gets down to protocol. But if we have our say, if they ask me as an American, whose flag flies higher, and we're on like a joint base, what do you think I'm going to say, Paul?
The American flag.
The American flag. Even if I'm wrong, that's what I'm going to say. Why am I going to say that, Paul?
Because I'm saying it.
Because I'm an American.
That's right.
I'm American. If I have absolute knowledge of which is what and what is the protocol and what are the status of forces agreements and whatever's signed by the State Department, our War Department, their State Department, their War Department, and everything, and I have specifically no, then I'll say it. If I don't, I'm just going to say the American flag. And we'll be back for the second half.
Building a house is hard, but have you tried removing one? Flood Brothers takes the mess out of demolition. With fast roll-off dumpster delivery, reliable debris pickup, and a family-owned team that takes service personally. Call 630-261-0400 or visit floodbrothersdisposal.com. Flood Brothers Disposal, proud sponsor of America's First Responders Fest.
This year, America's First Responders Fest 2025 was a huge success, and we couldn't have done it without the Village of Burlington and Village President Mary Kay Welzen. Your support helped bring the Fox River Valley together in the Village of Hampshire to celebrate the heroes who keep us safe every day. Thank you, Village of Burlington, for standing behind America's First Responders Fest 2025 and for standing with those who serve.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 1 o'clock.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. The River Corridor Foundation of St. Charles is considering but not yet committing to a $500,000 Eco Park floating garden project for the Fox River near Potawatomi Park, citing unresolved design, maintenance, and feasibility concerns. Inspired by Chicago's Wild Mile, the concept would feature moored floating garden modules connected to shore, but board members say more research is needed before moving forward due to cost and logistical challenges. An Aurora man, 29-year-old Hector Barrias, is facing multiple felony charges after police say a traffic stop in search of his home uncovered a stolen loaded handgun, a rifle, and suspected drugs, including cocaine, cannabis, Xanax, and Adderall, along with distribution paraphernalia. Authorities say Barrias, a convicted felon, was arrested Thursday and remains in custody while facing armed violence, drug delivery, and multiple weapons and possession charges. An Aurora couple, Sergio Campos and Daisy Salinas, are facing multiple counts of sexual exploitation of a child after prosecutors say they were captured in a video engaging in sexual acts in the presence of a toddler. Authorities say the video was sent to a woman Campos met on a dating app, prompting an investigation that led to both suspects being identified and arrested. Campos remains in custody while Salinas has been released pending her next court date. Downers Grove police say a juvenile riding an electric motorcycle fled a traffic stop Monday afternoon near Downers Grove North High School. Officers reported the rider sped away at a high rate of speed through nearby streets, disobeying multiple stop signs along Sherman Street and Highland Avenue while a pursuit briefly followed. Police say the officer lost sight of the vehicle on Lincoln Avenue. No injuries were reported, and the incident remains under investigation. Honda is recalling more than 880,000 SUVs and pickup trucks in the U.S. because a rear suspension component can corrode and fail, increasing the risk of a crash. The recall affects certain Honda Pilot, Passport, Ridgeline, and Acura MDX models. Honda says no injuries or deaths have been linked to the issue. I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. The Cubs avoided the three-game sweep to the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field Thursday, winning 9-3 as Seiya Suzuki hit a grand slam and Carson Kelly and Alex Bregman also homered in the win. Edward Cabrera goes to 4-3. He allowed 2 runs over 5 1/3. Tonight, the Cubs are in San Francisco to begin a series with the Giants. Javier Assad getting the start against Landon Rope. The White Sox had their game with the Atlanta Braves postponed due to rain, and the two teams will make that up on August 20th. The White Sox are home tonight to begin a 3-game series with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Chicago has won 9 of their last 13. NHL Stanley Cup Finals. The Carolina Panthers beat the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 5 Thursday 4-2. They now lead the series 3-2. Game 6 will be in Las Vegas on Sunday. The sports update brought to you by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
I'm Chris Campbell on WRMN, the talk of the town.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. This afternoon, partly sunny with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, high near 87. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, low around 59. Looking ahead to Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 70. Currently, it's 78 and clear. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
The burrito, it's fire.
Hi, this is Maya.
And I'm Antonio. And the little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A hash brown scrambled burrito
Is that it fuels our morning.
It's the full package.
You have the chicken, you have the eggs, and then you add these hash browns for a nice little crunch.
The chicken's always nice. It's crispy, it's juicy. And the cheeses, they melt together in a beautiful way.
And it gives me energy. It's perfect.
Order the Chick-fil-A hash brown scramble burrito and Simply Orange Juice on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Looking to buy or sell a home in Chicagoland? Need trusted legal help with real estate, evictions, or estate planning? Turn to Guthrie & Brady, the happy lawyers serving the greater Chicago area since 1965. With over 50 years of experience, they handle titles and deeds, foreclosures, landlord-tenant issues, wills, trusts, and more. Appointments available evenings or weekends at their Roselle office or right in your home. Call Guthrie & Brady now at 847-524-1215. That's 847-524-1215. Or visit gnblegal.com. Guthrie & Brady, personal, professional, affordable legal services for all of Chicagoland. The happy lawyers since 1965. That's gnblegal.com. Or 847-524-1215. Guthrie & Brady, trusted legal help made easy, fast, affordable, and experienced. Call today.
Fix Bayonets, comrades, we're back for the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt every Saturday, noon until 2. And put out all the information. I'll put it out towards the end and everything. So one of the things is, like, there is a code for the flag. And, Paul, I remember it was probably around 25 years ago, there was a big thing. And of course, you have these protesters that are offended. You know, I think this has been in the last 50 years, there's been a growth of being offended as a cottage industry. What do you do for a living?
It's called the grievance industry.
Yeah, grievance. I'm offended. Really? Oh yeah, I'm I'm professionally offensive. That's me, right? But I'm perpetually offended. I'm professionally perpetually offended. And so they go and they burn the flag. And of course, to patriotic people, especially to people like me who have had to fold the flag over fallen comrades and hand it over to the families, who has done the flag detail, right? Who has been in the Army during a time where when the flag went up and the flag came down, everything on that base stopped, right? All the cars were stopped. If you were caught driving, if you didn't get out of your car, turn in the direction of the music or turn in the direction of the flag and render a salute, and someone noticed you, you were getting talked to, right? And so, yeah, I'm offended by them burning the flag, but what is the flag? Again, it's a piece of fabric, but they're burning the ideal. It's a way. So if they spit in my face, if I'm standing there, you know, and I'm wearing my veteran hat, and guy comes up and spits in my face, well, he's getting curb stomped, right, Paul?
Right.
Because that's an assault. That's a battery on me. I'm willing to defend myself. Maybe I'll over-defend myself, but that's why you don't spit in my face, right?
Actually, spitting would be a battery.
It is. I said it's a battery, you know?
Yeah, it's more than assault. It's a battery.
Spitting at me and missing me?
That's an assault.
Nope, still a battery. It's attempted battery.
Right.
All right? It's not an assault. You actually attempted to batter me, right? So it's a battery. So you get charged with attempt. Yeah, you haven't been a detective. These, you know, the average person wouldn't know stuff like that. Like if you shoot at me and miss, is it assault or battery? Again, it's attempted battery with an aggravated battery. But it's, you know, you could say it's assault. Pulling out the gun and waving it at someone is assault. All right, so
That's one of the rare circumstances where it's both at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the both of them together.
The both of them together. But like burning this flag and then hiding behind your First Amendment rights is kind of like what I did in high school. All right. So I was a small kid in high school.
You gotta think about something though, and you gotta think about it in this way, okay? And we don't view it this way because we're either simple-minded or stupid or whatever. You start burning a flag, okay, and it's more than an act of defiance or disobedience because it's an arson.
It is.
It's an arson.
But wait, can you arson your own property?
Yes, you can, and I'll tell you why. You can always burn down your own property, but if you burn it down for a gain or insurance benefit, or if a responding authority comes and stuff like that, it's an arson, and it could be arson murder too. So anybody that willfully goes around burning flags, and cotton doesn't in and of itself catch fire. It's usually so they're always throwing lighters.
I'll tell you what, burning a nylon flag.
Yeah, that's pyrotechnic.
Well,
right there.
Yeah, man, that's rayon, nylon. That stuff goes up quickly. But here's my thing on the flag burning, right? And they say it's a First Amendment right. If I went in to an area and used verbiage that I know would incite violence, I'm not inciting violence, but I'm being so vulgar as to get people so ticked off that I know violence is going to ensue. I knew or I should have known, right? I'm like inciting a riot. Right, Paul? Or I'm causing a breach of the peace. Right?
That for sure is a breach
it is
of the
not
peace.
It is not my constitutional right to breach the peace. I could have a peaceful protest. What's the key word in there? The key word in there is peaceful. All right? Peaceful, not a breach of the peace. All right? But then they go and they burn the flag and they don't say anything and they well, that's my First Amendment right. Well, honestly, that's getting me so ticked off to the point of violence. So that should be a breach of the peace, because if you go into a veterans group, in the middle of a veterans group, and you set a flag on fire in the middle of these guys, and some of these guys pummel you, and you say, oh, my First Amendment right was violated. That was my freedom of speech. No, dude, you were stupid. But which way is the Supreme Court going to find? Which way are the courts going to find? That you were incited to this fight by this guy? And he's going to say my defense for inciting the fight on myself is...
That's why I'm telling you. Good.
Yeah.
He's got a right to burn the flag, but the flag is also an arson. They're two right. Things at the same time.
He does not have. It's a federal misdemeanor.
Yeah.
It's 1 year in prison or $1,000 fine. And I don't know, maybe next week we come back on this, and I think it might be a good thing to do right now is that how would the Supreme Court find on this if some kid came up and burned the flag and federally protected property? So now it's federal authority, right? And the FBI locks him up on a misdemeanor, or the U.S. Marshals lock him up on the misdemeanor, or the park police, the federal park police lock him up on a misdemeanor for burning that flag. And they charge him. And the Judge Jeannie gets it as the prosecutor, right? And she just manages to draw the last conservative judge that lives in D.C., right? Just manages out of the luck to draw that. And the guy gives full punishment to this person. $1,000 fine plus the whole year in federal custody. And he appeals it, and because it's in the District of Columbia, right? It goes through the appellate process there, but then it ends up at the Supreme Court. I was wondering, can the Supreme Court find that that's his constitutional right to do that and then nullify that law? And then why is the law still on the books if the Supreme Court nullifies it as unenforceable?
It could happen.
My theory here is that, all right, so I was a small kid in high school until I hit like my senior year. Then I got bigger. And I learned that during the change of classes, I could pull a guy right as we're leaving the room, smash him up against the lockers and start pummeling him. And then the teachers would come out and break it up before this guy got in one shot. Right? Before he got in one shot. That's what I'm saying these flag protesters are, right? They are spitting on me as a veteran, as a first responder, as a citizen of the United States, a normal citizen. I'm ultra right wing, ultra left wing, whatever, right? They're spitting on me knowing that there's no recourse to what they're doing. And they're like, look at me. They're not literally spitting, but this is their version of spitting, is burning the flag in front of me because they know it's going to upset you. So you have to tell yourself, well, dude, you just described what sort of person you are. And I'll tell you what, anyone that sees these kids doing it or anyone doing it, they should know that is not a brave act. That is not a brave act. I'm defying the federal government because when was the last time someone was literally arrested for this? I don't know. I haven't heard of it. I've been alive for 62 years. All right? The guy burns one on a baseball field. The guy comes out and pummels him, takes the flag away, and he's whining that his burning flag was stolen from him by some veteran, some first responder, some baseball player or whatever, stole his flag that he was burning. And that's his, he stole my stuff. I'm the victim here. No, So they think they're brave, but they're not. They're not. They're not being brave. They're not being avant-garde. They're throwing punches at people that are tied up. That's their bravery. They could slap you around. They'll kick you when you're unconscious on the ground. But if you stand up, they'll run away, right? It's like a person that makes a vile insult to you and then says, just joking, because they see you're upset to the point of violence now. And they go, just joking, man. Can't you take a joke? No, you weren't joking. That's your defense, and now it's your cowardly defense. Stand by your words. All right, so I think that's enough ranting from me. Don't you think, Paul?
Yep, that was Rick Monday, by the way, that did that. And it was in the bicentennial year of April the 25th, 1976.
Yeah.
I remember it well.
So, where is this? I have like top questions and answers in this American Legion book, and it's Americanism. It's about America. That's the thing with our American Legion. We'll have a meeting, and it'll be called Americanism, and everyone will bring their flags there, and we'll post all the colors and everything. But there's other things about Americanism. Respect for flag. Here we go. It's like question: is it necessary for a person to stand and salute when the national anthem is played?
Yes.
Well, by salute, they put their hands over their heart because they're civilians. And it was later on, and this was a change too, that veterans were allowed to salute now because we saluted when we were in uniform. We even salute, if I'm walking around in civilian clothes on leave, all right, and I see my commanding officer and he's wearing a uniform, I'm required to salute him, even though I'm on leave. right? He's an officer. I'm in civilian clothes. He's in uniform. I'm required to salute him. That's a truism. So now, even though it's like kind of required, they say, hey, you could salute the flag because you're a veteran. Everyone else puts their hands over their heart, right? And they're, again, is it required that you stand for the national anthem? Yes. And we're now, you're like, is it really a requirement? Is it a law? Who knows? I didn't look that far. But it's accepted polite practice in society, right? That you stand for the national anthem. Some people protest. We know about the knees and everything. And some people protest and everything else. You remember Royko? Mike Royko?
Yeah.
One of his columns was some guy was not singing the national anthem at the Cubs game because Royko was always big with the Cubs and everything. And so his the people sitting around him, because he wasn't singing, were giving him hell, right? Hey, you should really sing the national anthem, blah, 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 blah. So the next game comes in, and he's singing, everyone's singing the national anthem, and the anthem's over, sits down. He sings verses 2, 3, and 4. Okay, you want me to sing? I'll sing the whole thing. The whole thing. That's kind of, Royko was kind of left-wing while patriotic and everything. It's just.
Royko was a curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon. What's the definition of curmudgeon?
Somebody who's takes a contrarian side, but not necessarily the opposite side.
The devil's advocate. He doesn't necessarily believe it, or gaslighter, a button pusher. I got a friend. He is the. I'm not going to mention his name, but beyond a doubt, he is the king of gaslighters. Absolutely the king of gaslighters, and he's a button pusher extraordinaire. Still a friend of mine. Love him dearly and everything. Great friend, but I have to bite my lips at things and not get baited in. But he's very good. He's very good. But I don't want to, not be a friend because it's just his way of amusement. But that, and again, I think a lot of these protesters are like baiting in, baiting people in. The Russians have a word for it. It's called a, and of course I forget the word. I'll remember it tonight at 2 a.m. when I wake up screaming it. It's a, not a manifestation. It's a, not procrastination, not I'll take a break.
The Germans have a word for it too, provocateur.
It's a provocation, right? It's baiting you to do something. They want you to do something, so there's provoking you.
Yes.
And the only way to win is not to be provoked.
Correct.
Even if you're stronger than them and they have an idea they're going to get their heads kicked in, right? They're playing a long game. So like I said, a flag burner, he's going to provoke me. I'm going to kick his ass. Of course, he's got friends on the police department. They come, they lock me up. I get indicted for a felony, and then he's got friends that are with the judges. It's become a cause celebre. He's got people with the press. I'm all vilified and everything. I'm the bad guy because I can't control my temper. But he's not the bad guy because he's being totally disrespectful. He's baiting a fight, right? The press doesn't paint him as a coward. What he is. Well, how could he be a coward? He took that beating because he didn't think he was going to get the beating. That's why he's a coward.
He's also what you'd call an A1 instigator.
Yeah. But we got to live with those people all the time.
We do.
Don't be provoked.
Right.
They're playing a long game. You're not going to win if you're provoked in the current situation, climate of the press. The press pumps public opinion, not necessarily the 51% opinion, but the 20% loud screaming, I'm offended, I'm a professional victim opinion that screams loudly, while the other 80% are like, just shut up. Why is it such an issue? But they get that, and then they get 31% saying, well, the only way to make these crybabies shut up is to give them what they want. Maybe he shouldn't have beat him up. Maybe he should have had more self-control and everything. So we'll punish him to shut this one up, because this one just won't shut up. All right, so I'm getting a little off the subject of Flag Day. I think it is on the subject. I think because the burning of the flag, they say it's a political statement. No, it's not. It's a cowardly act. Is it illegal? Yes, it's illegal. Is sometimes standing up against Joe Law, is sometimes that a brave thing to do? Well, yeah. There's sometimes that's absolute brave thing to do. Down south, a bunch of war veterans came home to find out that their county was taken over by the most corrupt administration ever that was actually murdered a veteran, got away with it, right? They thought they got away with it until these veterans actually, violated all sorts of laws to de-seat this county, to get them out of there. Were they brave on it? Yeah. Yeah, they were brave against Joe Law, but that's a legitimate oppression. That wasn't a legitimate oppression, right? That wasn't, oh, I'm mad because I don't like that flag flying. Don't look at it, dude. Like I said, it's not going to jump off the pole and kill you. It's not even going to hurt you.
It's really sad, because I was at Walmart yesterday, and they were selling boxes of flags. I think it was 14 or 20 or something like that for a certain price, And usually, flags have like the point on them when they sell them. But now they're starting to sell them with like a rounded ball on them. And you know what it was said? And this shows you how stupid and litigious we are. The reason why they were selling them like that is so your kids didn't poke their eye out or somebody else's.
I bet you I could find a kid that'll poke his eye out with that ball-ended thing. I know there's a ton of kids out there that would take that stick if they were unsupervised and shove it up their nose until they gave themselves, blood, yeah, a lobotomy.
It's really,
all right,
it's really sad,
I'm like, that ain't gonna save your stupid kid. Oh, you know what the real reason is? It uses that much less wood or plastic.
That's correct.
All right? It's all about the money. But there's, all right, so before we go to break, the official size for the spearhead on the flagpole is 2.5 inches long.
Nice.
All right? So it's called a spearhead. And that's what goes on top of the flagpole. Now, some of our flags, I want to find out if the eagle is authorized or if that's only for indoors. Because I got to get this straight, because we do some parades with the Legion, and I want to make sure we have the right stuff. All right, so we got to go to break. That's the hard ding-dong there.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. Major League Baseball, the Cubs defeated the Colorado Rockies 9-3 at Coors Field on Thursday, avoiding the 3-game sweep. Seiya Suzuki hit a grand slam. Alex Bregman and Carson Kelly also homered for the Cubs. Edward Cabrera got the win, allowed 2 runs over 5 1/3. He improves to 4-3. Chicago and San Francisco tonight to take on the Giants. The White Sox had their game with the Atlanta Braves postponed due to rain. They will make that up on August 20th. The White Sox hosting the Dodgers tonight to begin a 3-game series, and Chicago has won 9 of their last 13. The NBA Finals continuing on Saturday. San Antonio hosting the New York Knicks in Game 5. The Knicks are up 3-1 and a win away from their first championship in 53 years. They're coming off a Game 4 win Wednesday, overcoming a 29-point deficit. The sports update brought to you by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
I'm Chris Campbell on WRMN, the talk of the town.
Hi, it's Zoe, personal stylist at Macy's. If you're like, what am I wearing on this trip? To this wedding? To brunch? Your timing's perfect. Our best brands are all 30% off. I'll pull some great pieces that are made for you, so you'll show up confident, looking amazing. Plus, 15 off designer beauty and fragrance. Sign up for Star Rewards and earn even faster at Macy's Friends and Family. Going on now. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it'd go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Elgin isn't just a city. It's a community built on connection, innovation, and opportunity. And at the heart of it all is the Elgin Chamber of Commerce. For over a century, the Elgin Chamber has helped local businesses grow, connecting entrepreneurs, advocating for progress, and inspiring the leaders of tomorrow. Whether you're a new business just starting out or an established company looking to expand, the Elgin Chamber is your partner for success. Join a powerful network of leaders making a difference in our community every day. Together, we're shaping the future of Elgin, one connection at a time. Elgin Area Chamber of Commerce, where business and community grow together. Call now, 847-741-5660, or go to info@elginchamber.com. Contact Carol Gieske.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by KFC. This afternoon, partly sunny with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, high near 87. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, low around 59. Looking ahead to Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 70. Currently, it's 80 and partly cloudy. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
The Colonel's cooked up a new $10 bucket of the day just for you. Monday, 24 nuggets for $10. Tuesday, 8-piece fried chicken for $10. Wednesday, 10 wings for $10. Thursday, 8 tenders for $10. Friday, 24 nuggets for... Oh, you guessed it, didn't you? $10. The $10 bucket of the day deal. Every weekday. Only at KFC. It's finger-licking good.
Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Not available on third-party ordering platforms. Tax extra.
Fixed Bayonets, comrades, we're back for the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvid. Every day, noon until 2 on WRMN, 1410 AM. We're in the 1410 on the dial.
Saturday.
Yeah, no one's got dials anymore unless you're in the
I think
car.
you said every day.
Well, did I say every day?
I think you said every day.
Well, maybe. No, it's not. I think, Matt, don't you have the midday show during the week?
I do. Well, I do a community hour.
Yeah, see? Yeah. I'd be stepping into Matt's territory there. That's why he corrected me right away. He goes, no, not losing my slot. He does.
Matt has a fantastic show. I watch it.
Oh, thank you.
Nice. And
so the eagle is a permitted and authorized topper to a flag.
Indoors or outdoors?
Both for civilians. In military use, it's generally reserved for the president and vice president and the highest ranking government or military officials. And there's a picture of the Marine Corps flag outside with an eagle on top of it. Military branches, other branches such as the Army and Navy, utilize specific toppers like spearheads, balls, stars, or flat trucks, but it is allowed for the Marine Corps to use it. And I think it's got the globe actually under it, you know. So it is permitted, and it's okay. Indoors or outdoors for civilians for sure.
Okay. Because our commander Bob took our Eagles were well weathered, right? And he took them in and he had them replated, and they look really good. It's like a doubling thing. But I'm definitely going to measure these flags now and make sure that when we're going on parades and stuff that we have the right measurements for these flags. And you like the things you learn. Another thing about the flag that I learned. So we made some letterhead, and I put the flag on it because, you know, we're patriotic. And nope, shouldn't do that. You know, you get mailings from people, and they put the flag on it because they want to be a patriotic thing. They're like mailing to all the veterans, and they put the flag on their letterhead or their mailer or something. And nope, you shouldn't use the flag that way. And yeah, the post office has the flag stamps. But they're the post office. They're part of the U.S. government. They're not advertising. Well, they're advertising for the U.S. government, all right? But to use it,
but that flag stamp is a commemorative of the flag.
Yeah. Okay, so
they've done like 4 of those.
All right, so one is the Betsy Ross flag currently, you know, because we got more than 13 states, right? Is it an official U.S. flag?
Yes.
Yes. If I'm flying the 48-star flag, is it an official U.S. flag?
Yes.
Yes, they all are. If I'm flying the 15-star, 15-stripe flag, is it official? Yes. Every single flag remains official. All right? If we picked up a 51st or 52nd state or, you know, whatever, or lost the state somehow, someone managed to secede, which would take a lot to change that. But the 50-star flag would remain official. You know, they would come out with a new flag, but the old flag would still be official. So there are some very famous flags that are still in, like, museums. And, of course, the Betsy Ross flag, they got that in a museum, all right? And they got...
The one that the Star-Spangled Banner is based on, that's in a museum.
Yeah, that's a museum there. And that was the Fort McHenry flag. And then there's this one that I read about. This is cool because I learned about history that you don't learn in school unless you're really, you know how doctors become specialists and they learn everything about some little thing that your general practitioner would like. I didn't even know that body part existed, right? Well, you got the William Driver's Old Glory, the original Old Glory, all right? So he took this flag. He was a merchant marine guy, and he took this flag all around the world with him when he was sailing, right? And then he comes and he retires to Tennessee, and he's got this flag there. And of course, Tennessee secedes from the Union, and they're part of the Confederacy. And they come by to grab his flag, and he's like, "What flag?" He refuses to give it up because they know about it because he's really proud of this giant flag they took around with them everywhere, right? And he's like, what flag? They hide it in like a duvet cover, all right? So they actually make a quilt around it, right? So when they come in to search for this, when Confederacy comes in to search for this flag, they're like, go right by the duvet cover. Oh, we can't find it. He doesn't have it. He's right. It's gone. But then when Grant comes in and frees Tennessee, this guy goes to the local Union commander and he says, here's the flag, right? I protected it. That's in a museum. But he did something that later on they passed a law saying you shouldn't do this. He sewed onto this flag a white anchor, right? And he started adding stars for states that had become part of the Union later. But he put a white anchor on there to show that he was like it was a maritime flag that to respect. But now, so there's an official flag. So you cannot take that official flag and make it into a T-shirt. You can't make a drapes. You don't make drapes out of it. You don't use it as the only thing that flag covers. All right, the only thing it covers is the remains of a fallen citizen, a soldier, first responder. That's the only thing that flag covers. All right, it doesn't cover a table. It doesn't cover an old motorcycle in the corner. It doesn't do that. That's disrespectful. But now you have things like the thin blue line flag. That's one kind of near to my heart. Is it an American flag, Paul?
No.
No. It looks like one, but it's not.
Here it is.
Yeah. If I took an American flag, an official American flag, and then I sewed a piece of blue over it, that's wrong. If someone produces something that looks like an American flag, all right, and has 1776 in it, it's not an American flag. It looks like one. It's a doppelganger. It's a, what do you call it? It's not a Rolex. It's a Rololex. You know, it's like, it looks like one, but it doesn't function the same. But if I took an American flag and I sewed on top of the field, up top of the Union, a new Union, different, that's wrong. So it's an actual American flag versus a novelty item, right? So people wear the flag on T-shirts, but that's not official. That's an image of the flag on the T-shirt. Still shouldn't be done, right? When you want to decorate patriotically, it's called bunting. So I don't put a flag in front of my podium, right? I don't cover my podium with a flag. I cover it with red, white, and blue bunting, right? And then I have the flag to the speaker's right, and then the other flag to the left, right? So I had stickers on the car, window stickers with the American flag on them on my car, but it says the flag should be affixed to the right front fender, the right front of the car. So if I put a flag on there, that's where I should have my flag. And I've seen people with them, out of their driver's windows. They put it on there and everything. But according to the U.S. code, that's not where the flag goes. But, all right, I'm getting kind of into the woods on this, not into the woods, into the weeds, right? Patriotically displaying the flag because you're proud of it, right? Because you're proud to be a patriot, because you're proud of everything that the United States is about, to me is okay, as long as you respect the flag.
Do you know what the required holidays are for displaying the flag?
I have them written down, but let me know.
Okay, January 1st.
Yep.
Martin Luther King's birthday. Inauguration Day every 4th year. Lincoln's birthday, February 12th. Washington's birthday, which is also President's Day. Easter. Mother's Day. Armed Forces Day, which you mentioned a couple weeks ago, is the 3rd Saturday in May. Memorial Day. And they ask you to fly it at half staff until noon. June 14th, Flag Day, which is tomorrow. The 3rd Sunday in June
Father's Day.
For Father's Day. July the 4th, Labor Day, September 19th, which is Constitution Day, and the last Sunday in, I think it's in September, which is Gold Star Mother's Day, Columbus Day, October 27th, which is Navy Day, November the 11th, which is Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day.
Which pretty much coincides exactly with the days that the garrisons, the large Army garrisons, like on Fort Bragg or Fort Hood, can fly the garrison flag. That's not flown every day, right? The 20-foot by 38-foot flag is authorized. It doesn't have to be flown on those days because there could be weather considerations, right? The weather could be so bad that they're just going to fly the what they call the storm flag, which is smaller than the post flag, all right? So you got the garrison flag goes up on those special holidays, not on every day, but it's authorized to go up on those days. So you're not going to see that every day flying on a military post or in front of the Capitol or in front of, you know. So yeah, that's nice. And what's the rule of thumb on your smoke detectors, Paul?
You change it on in October.
And when you jump ahead or you jump back,
whatever day that's where you change
daylight savings day, right? You change the batteries, right? So every 6 months you kind of change the batteries. That's a rule of thumb. So another rule of thumb is for people. Now you're supposed to have your flag lit if you're going to fly it at night. Otherwise, you should take it down, fold it properly, store it properly, and then put it up in the morning. All right? But which would make the flag last a lot longer. But a rule of thumb is to replace that flag on Flag Day. So you had the flag flying out there all year. It's done its service. It's worn. It's weather worn. It's probably frayed in places and everything. If you're proud of the flag and everything, then on Flag Day, take it out, take it off, fold it. You can find on the internet anywhere the proper way to fold the flag. If you don't know how to fold the flag, fold it as nicely as you can, and then put it in one of the drop boxes for the Legion, or maybe your village hall has it, or take it to the VFW, any of your veterans organizations, and give it to them, and they will dispose of it properly, which we're talking about improperly burning a flag. But there is, you can burn the flag honorably because it is past its usage, right? And it's got to be an honorable situation. What we do is we turn the flags over to a crematorium, and they cremate the flags. All right, so just like a body's being honorably disposed of, right? Respectfully disposed of. That's how you respectfully retire a flag. You don't just stick them up and, hoard them, all these old flags, hoard them. They've served their usage. It's time to put them out, put them away, right? Unless they're really historical, they have some real meaning to you or something. Then you got to store them. You got to fold it properly and put it in a bag, a case or whatever. Store it properly. Right? So that's what we'll be doing tomorrow at the Clock Tower Park in Schiller Park. I believe it starts at 1 o'clock. We'll be doing a flag ceremony. They're already replaced all the flags with new flags. I forget who supplied them. Safety Light or something. Someone supplied the flags for Schiller Park. We're going to be putting them up. We're going to have a ceremony there. We're going to be putting veterans' names on the memorial wall. Yeah. That's your father's flag, right, Paul?
It is.
Yeah. So the VA, for every honorably for every not dishonorably discharged service member, the VA will supply a flag. So you can, let's say you never got the flag for your grandfather or your father or whatever, you could contact the VA. I suggest you go through your congressman's office to see if they'll send you a flag. And normally the people that handle this are the funeral home directors. They have the contacts. But if you're not going through a funeral home director, you have your 214, you contact the VA, there's paperwork to fill out, they'll supply you with the flag. You're also entitled to headstone from the VA. But we were down at Abraham Lincoln Cemetery. One of our members had passed away, and his ashes were being interred. So we went down there, and the flag isn't draped over the coffin. But the two guys from the National Guard, a major and a staff sergeant, these guys train for it. This is how honorably they take it. This is how seriously they take it. It's not a joke, right? There's a lot of honor involved. They're in their dress blues, their dress uniform, and they unfold the flag, the ceremonial flag, the storm flag, right? And they hold it over the ashes, the remains, the urn, right? And then they refold that flag. And the way they do it, like West Point, man, like they're taking, everything's being inspected. Like it's the Tomb of the Unknowns, and they're having the rifle inspections. The sergeant of the guard is coming out and doing the rifle. Very, white gloved, very nice. And then they present it to the next of kin, and that is a emotional event. They do it really well. They had the
Don't forget, though, there was a fire at one of the VA centers. So if you could find your parents' DD 214 or his discharge papers, that would help too.
Okay, so that was back in the 80s, early 80s. They had a fire, and it wasn't everyone's records. It was only a certain year of records, right? Certain years. And they try to reconstruct that. And you can reconstruct these things just from information that you have. But it's getting where those guys aren't even alive anymore, all right, for those records. They're not alive anymore. But you can reconstruct the records, all right? So you go to the National Archives, all right? And there's a way, there's forms you could do to reconstruct a 214, which is a discharge paper, which is the important paper that you need for your veterans' benefits or any other veterans that go along with that, right? So, and if you want to find the link to the National Archives, go to post104.org, go to links, hit on National Archive flag, and boop, there it is. The outline of the flag, the image, the graphic image. And there we go.
Hey,
so it's up there somewhere. Yeah, Paul.
I've got a kind of a related question for you.
Okay.
Marla was actually able to reconstruct her father's stuff, but I've got a question for you. We have a friend of the channel whose father I worked with, okay? And he was in Korea, okay? And there was a hand grenade issue, okay? And I know he got disability from that. He since passed, and actually the issue may have contributed to his death later on. But his son had a question for us. How can we determine? Because what his son heard from the uncles, who were all honorable veterans too, was that the father had saved somebody's life. And he had never gotten recognition for that. Yeah. Where would he go to look into that?
All right, so if it was documented on an award or something, all right?
I don't think he got an award.
Well, it would have, one, there'd have to be written documentation from the time of the event, like an after-action review, a report from the field, something, right? Maybe. All right, so really, if you really want to stretch it out, you're trying to convince, and the VA and the government actually has regulations on this, like rules that they follow. It's very, like I said, the government's very precise. They're like a computer, and they write, the rules that their little gears have to follow to do this, right? So buddy letters help, right? Like what a buddy letter is someone that was there and says, I saw this happen, right? It may have not been reported or whatever, but I was alive. I was there at this point in time, same unit, same everything, and this is what happened, right? And then buddy letters, maybe newspaper stories, anything like that. But just to say, my dad said this happened, that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly, all right? Unless it's documented, And the way to get this document is talk to people that were there. You have to research it, like everything, and then you put in for it, and you go through your congressman. All right, you go through your congressman and said, this guy should have been awarded the Soldier's Medal at that time, if the Soldier's Medal existed at that. I don't know when the Soldier's Medal came into existence. I'd have to double check that. But yeah, he should have been awarded it. He wasn't awarded it. Is there a way they could award it now? Then the congressman, you give him all the information. He takes that to the colonel in Congress, and they follow up on it, and then it's either going to be a yes or a no. Okay. But you got to get some documentation there. I mean, just hearsay information and everything doesn't work. You need buddy letters. Maybe he wrote letters home. Maybe you could use that for documentation. Yeah, Ma, today, I pulled the guy out of a burn, and he wrote it to his mother, and it's there documented that he wrote this letter home. That might be something.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. But there is a process. They had one guy, Karl Roman, a Polish guy, World War II. They called him like the ghost. This guy, his legs half shot up, and he runs out of the hospital, go back to his unit and everything. And he was put in for Medal of Honor, and no one processed it. It just sat there. His records were in that fire. His records were in one of the boxes that didn't burn up. And they found it. And then they issued them so many years later after the event. They're like, yeah, you should have got the award. It should have been processed. Someone forgot about it. So we'll see you next week, Chief Guard of the Republic radio show. And I hope we gave some informative information on why we have Flag Day and why the flag's a good thing.
Happy birthday to the flag, happy birthday to the Army, and happy birthday to the President.
Yes, all on the same, not the same exact day, but the same date.
Take care.
Different years.
Have a great week.
Yep.